Hello and welcome to another edition of the Tee to Green podcast. I'm Kevin Sylvester, and I'm pleased to bring you another episode where it's a feature interview with a local company, a Western New York company that is global in the golf world. Our last episode was an interview with Keith and Brett Blakely from Encore Golf, the golf ball / or now technology company in Buffalo. And this episode is a conversation with the founder of Donald Ross Sportswear, the golf clothing company. I had a chance to sit down with Rob Stein and two key members of his team, and it really is a team at Donald Ross, based in Buffalo, and they make great golf clothing, functional clothing, and I had a chance to sit down with them, talk about how the company started, why Buffalo, and what the process is like coming up with new styles, and year after year, really season after season, putting things in pro shops, making it available that golfers are going to buy time and time again. It was a great conversation, great people. Hope you enjoy this episode with Donald Ross Sportswear. Well, first I'd like to thank the crew that is going to be on the show right now for having me in their headquarters to record this podcast. It is like being in my dream closet, for sure. But I am at the headquarters of Donald Ross Sportswear. Rob Stein, the president of Donald Ross, joins me. John Bolin, vice president of sales, and Carly Hall, vice president of design and merchandising. Thank you all for having me here.
Oh, you're
Rob.
welcome. Welcome to Donald Ross.
Thank you for the coffee and the Kringle. I noticed John and Carly didn't go for the Kringle, but Rob, you and I were.
Carly's gone for the Kringle. John will go for the Kringle.
I had a piece.
It's pretty good stuff, the Kringle.
And that's a small shout out, or a big shout out to Olson's Bakery that provides us with those lovely Kringles occasionally.
Just up the road here. I haven't been there, but now I'm going to have to stop in for it. One of the interesting things, I was telling somebody recently who is in the local golf industry, said, hey, do you know that Donald Ross Sportswear is in Buffalo, New York headquartered, and actually in Clarence? And they're like, what? I go, yes, Donald Ross. He's like, that brand, I've seen him around. So, Robert, why don't you start with, and we've covered this on our radio show, but the origins of having Donald Ross in Buffalo, New York.
Sure. Well, I came to Buffalo 20 years ago from Chicago with a company that no longer exists, M. Weil, which was part of Hartmarks in the apparel industry, and that brought me here, and actually brought me here to run a golf division for them, Pringle of Scotland, and that whole business consolidated to New York City about 6 months after I got here, and spent the first 7 years of my life in Buffalo working in New York City for Pringle, and then Jack Nicklaus after that.
Heard of him?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's an okay golfer.
Started the business really January of 2007, and launched the business to the public January of 2009.
And you're lucky to find John, who is here in Buffalo.
Wasn't that lucky? It was fortunate, but no, I knew what the golf industry. I met John traveling to and from the PGA show a few times, and then was fortunate enough to actually sit down with him and talk on the ride back one time. And I think we had kind of a nice meeting of the minds when we met about the industry and about apparel and so forth, and that turned into several conversations, and eventually turned into John coming to work for us in December of 2006 years ago.
Yeah. It'll be 6 years ago next month, or in December. Yeah.
Wow. It's been 6 years already.
Been 6 years, and it's been a fast 6 years and a fun 6 years and a productive 6 years.
And Carly's been with you. How long have you been here,
Almost
Carly?
6 years as well.
Almost 6 years as well.
I joined January, right after John.
Yep.
So we kind of recruited at the same time.
And where'd you find Carly? Or did she find you?
Carly.
He was my customer. I worked at O'Connell's
actually,
right out of school.
Another great, kind of a cool local story. I met Carly at a clothing store, O'Connell's on Main Street across from UB South Campus. I was shopping with my daughter for a jacket for her for college, and Carly happened to be taking care of us, and I thought, you know what, Kevin, one thing about what I do, what I've always done. I'm always looking for help, and I'm always looking for customers. So if it's a Saturday at O'Connell's and somebody there that seems interesting and seems like there's potential, I generally introduce myself. And Carly was interesting because it took a year for it to come to fruition. I introduced myself, bought the coat, and literally a year later she called me up and said, "Do you remember me?" And we had a nice 3-hour conversation, and probably a day later, and I hired her kind of the same day. So, yeah, it's
been really fun.
It's been fun, and Buffalo's been. You asked originally why Buffalo.
Yeah.
First of all, I was fortunate enough to meet these two people here, but Buffalo's a great town to operate out of. First of all, it's a great environment. I fell into a nice group of people in my hometown now of Clarence. A lot of successful entrepreneurs and so forth. Number one. Number two is the business climate here is I think is really good, actually, especially for an entrepreneur. And number three is it happens to be a good location. And I like the seasons.
It's easy to travel out of here.
Real easy to travel out of here.
It's nice. We don't have that big city traffic. And
The lifestyle is beautiful here. Yeah.
So it's a nice place to
fly out of JFK or LaGuardia or O'Hare for
I have, yes.
for a couple decades, and
well, I haven't had to get there. I just usually connect there.
That's
right?
the nice thing. Yeah. As I always tell people, I used to park as far away from the terminal in Chicago as I live from the terminal in Buffalo. And that's really not a big exaggeration.
Right.
John, for you had been a sales representative for other golf companies, some of whom are competitors now of Donald Ross. What was the appeal to you to come and work for Donald Ross?
Well, the coolest part was, I'm a native Buffalonian, and to be able to work for a hometown company is just so cool for me. And to Rob's point, it's so funny. I travel all over the country with our reps and meeting customers, and they're always like, "Where you guys are located in Buffalo?" And it's just so cool to tell that story. And people are always interested to know that a golf company's in Buffalo, New York.
And Carly, for you in designing fashion,
sure.
Right? New York's the spot, right?
Sure. I went to school at FIT and Canisius, and when I graduated from that program, I came back home to Buffalo, and I'd been in the retail sector basically my entire career up until now, and this was a great opportunity for me to see the wholesale side of the business, and it's been a great learning experience, and it's been really fruitful, and it was a good move.
She's thrived.
She's
thrived. She's done a great job.
It's been really
caught
fun.
on quickly. And another thing I really like about Buffalo, got a great. I like the town. I like the people in Buffalo. Nice work ethic and so forth. And Carly and John certainly really represent that well.
Let's talk about the name Donald Ross, and that was a move to that name with Donald Ross, and just what that means. And Rob and John, when you're out and about around the country, using that name Donald Ross is golf. I mean, a great golf course architect. What does it mean, first, Rob, to have that name Donald Ross?
Well, I think there's certainly an expectation of quality, expectation of taste, an expectation of consistency. It's also, for me, starting the business, I had a background in golf anyhow and had some nice relationships, but that name really gave me, I thought was going to give me an entree to several hundred, about 400 golf courses that I thought would be highly interested in carrying a brand of apparel that was the same as the architect of their golf course. And for non-Donald Ross golf courses, of course, his name, his legacy, and so forth is impeccable. So it was a pretty, to me, although people questioned me, I didn't, because I thought, this is really a name that is tradable. How's that?
Yeah,
sure. John, how about
Well, and I think, our niche in the golf business is, classical looks, classical styling, which is just perfect match with Donald Ross and his designs. So it's brilliant, actually.
Yeah, that's one of the things I was going to mention. Like, I think Donald Ross, I think classic.
Exactly.
And, as golf courses are classic, they stand the test of time. Most of them, except for trees when they come up, which we're seeing a lot of golf courses do now,
right?
And redo those things. And I think of the greens, the round mounded greens with Donald Ross. And Carly, when it comes to designing merchandising, displays, the ads that are put out and such, do you keep that in mind too? That Donald Ross is, how much research goes into what Donald Ross was, his courses?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, as you mentioned, classic, timeless style is the fundamental of all of our collections, and just incorporating some, trends and keeping the colors bright and happy. I think that really is 90% of what goes into design, and it's proved well. So.
Consistency, a lot of consistency is really important to us. Service is important to us, but thinking of Donald Ross, I think it's really the idea of very classic,
reliable,
high quality, consistent.
Well, let's talk about design, of the garments and of the clothes. You mentioned classical designs and coming out with that. How do you, and this anybody can run with this one, maybe Carly with the design here, but how do you start the design process for a new year? Like, I know everything's designed for spring, right? You're probably working on fall of 2020. Maybe that's already done. Just kind of take us through the design process and how you three work together with that.
Let me just say one thing,
Sure,
Carly.
absolutely.
Real easy. The first thing we do is review what happened a year ago and 6 months ago, and that's kind of the foundation for the beginning of the design process. From there, I think, Carly, you could explain.
Yes, we're always sticking to our tried and true blues and incorporating some fun, relevant, bright colors with those blues. Something new, something fresh, but familiar. And it really builds pretty organically from there with patterns, a balance of stripes, classical stripes, fun new motif prints. Prints have become very popular for us. Our knit shirt is our cornerstone product. So the knits, that's really like the funnest category for us because we can get pretty playful with the patterns and. But outerwear has been building for us as well. And with outerwear, we start with fabrics, quality textiles. Does it feel good? Is it soft? Is it lightweight? How is the performance? And putting, using those textiles to form cool looking garments, classic and great looking garments.
And to that point, one thing that makes us unique here at Donald Ross is we're golfers at our core. Rob and I play on a regular basis, and we're checking sleeve lengths, we're checking seams, we're checking lengths on every garment every time, just to make sure that they're functional for golf and appropriate.
Yeah, that's something that Carly touched on, but our fabrics need to have a purpose, either for warmth or for wicking or for repelling water or for repelling wind.
Yeah.
Those are kind of the four core needs that a golfer has. Really, there's a fifth one now also, which is people really look for stretch, which is available in most fabrics, whether it's a knit shirt or an outerwear. People want that idea of clothes that move with them and for them. Right.
I will raise my hand and say yes. I'm a fan of the stretch fabrics. How much is that change? When did that change?
It's changed completely. It's all happened when Nike and the performance, the athletic companies, Nike, Puma, Adidas, got involved with these kind of fabrics probably close to 30 years ago now. And, the whole purpose I got into, well, there's several reasons I started the company, but one of the main ones was that I thought the performance fabrics were sensational, but they were styled for other activities, other sports activities. So they had a real feel of soccer and of lacrosse and running and those kinds of things. And my idea was very simple: just take those performance fabrics and make them into very classic traditional garments, a la polo or Brooks Brothers or something,
sure.
and it caught on with the consumer immediately. I mean, it was really the fun. One of the best parts of my whole experience here, which has been over 12 years now, is the customer's reaction when we first opened the line, because first of all, it was a terrible time economically, but more importantly was really important people in the golf business said this is exactly what we've been looking for. And so I can't tell you it was a struggle. Right from the get-go, the company was successful.
You talk about reviewing what happened the year before. John, do you, aside from looking at spreadsheets and numbers of SKUs that
Sure.
sold and that were purchased for pro shops, I imagine traveling around the country, you know what's going to sell as soon as you see it come off the design, a design idea.
Sure. Well, we get great feedback from our customers as well. Our reps will interact with the customers at least 3 to 4 times a year. You know, they go into the shops and see what's trending, what's selling well, and we get intel on that. And I bring it back to Carly and Rob, and we make sure we incorporate those trends into our next season.
Yeah. Do you? Is there any? And forgive me for using this word, guesswork on what's going to be trendy?
Sure, absolutely. There's always an element of the unknown.
Educated, but
Yes, a hypothesis.
Yeah. Well, yeah, of course. We do intense studying of the market and of our competition and of parallel businesses such as soccer and tennis and other things. All of that stuff factors into decisions that we make. Fashion-wise, color-wise, and so forth, we're maybe cueing in a lot on the retail industry, not so much the athletic industry. But all of that stuff comes into our... when you do what we do, Kevin, I mean, literally, you're looking 24 hours a day at what people are wearing and what's going on. The influence can come from anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Do you look at what people wear casually, not on the golf course?
Definitely. Even when some of Rob's friends come in, we'll comment, wow, that's a cool quilt on his jacket. Take a picture,
right.
Let's reference
We do.
this.
We take a lot of pictures of strangers that are like...
They must look at us like, who are you and why are you taking our picture? But
I would say that, one of Rob's biggest strengths is he is always aware of what the industry is doing, not only just in golf, but fashion in general, so that we are relevant, we are up with the times, and we're producing.
That's why we got cool stuff.
Good product.
Yeah. Well, it's the camouflage, right? Let's talk about that trend. And I have the camouflage quarters. Even my wife likes it, and she doesn't like nearly anything I wear, especially if it's got a golf course logo on it. As I'm wearing today, but she's like, that looks cool, and that looks different. And I had another camo piece, blue, from, I won't say the competitor's name, but it was given to me, and I wore it to play golf. She's like, no, this one looks better. The cut's different, but just the camo pattern was different. Mm-hmm. But that's been a recent trend, right? And the question I guess I have with that, how long is camo going to be a trend, right? These things come in and out, don't they?
We would love to know. It's still hot.
But it's amazing hot. That,
longer, almost always longer than we think.
Yes.
Okay, because we get tired of looking at things sometimes. But the camouflage thing, it's interesting because I think a lot of that has to do with, fashion, but I think a lot of it has to do with national pride and so forth, and I think people think of our military and things like that, and the camo thing is amazing. It's on everything. It's on the most expensive designer women's handbags, shoes, everywhere, and frankly, as a company, we can't keep it in stock.
Mm-hmm. Do you, so with that in mind, you look back maybe 5 years ago and think about camo, that's just for hunters, and now it's for golf. So is there, not with revealing any trade secrets here, but is there something you're looking at, or any of you are looking at saying, we're going to make that popular, we're going to put that on golfers, and we're going to be the ones to set the trend? Or how risky, is that pretty risky to do?
Well, we are first of all, anything new has some risk to it, but it's kind of that just measuring that risk reward and so forth. But I would say that we've got our eyes open all the time. When we jump into something, we are usually not you're usually not the guy that's way out there that's leading the pack. 80% of those guys don't make it to the next season. But we do watch, and we watch closely, and when we feel like it's time to jump in.
We're fast followers.
We do. We're good fast followers. And
that's what's cool about our brand, and our company. We're what's your line, Rob? That we're big enough to be important, but small enough to be special.
Can't remember. It's been a while. We are trying to be big enough to be important and small enough to be special. So
my point is, we can react quickly.
Yeah.
If we see a trend or something like that, it doesn't have to take a full year to.
Is our audience mostly Buffalo?
Well, this could be anywhere right now.
But if it is a local audience, you can think of Outback versus like maybe Tempo or at the Chop House.
Sure.
Okay. We're more that single
boutique
business.
I used to tell a former boss when I was a beat reporter for the Bills, and he's like, "Hey, how come you didn't have this first?" I'm like, "I didn't have it first, but I had it right." Like there's a lot in media now where everything's hey, we've had it first, but you had it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
right.
That's
So
smart.
I'd rather get it right than be first.
That's a great point.
Well, really realistically, our consumer is not going to be first.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Yeah, he's not going to be the guinea pig. Our consumer is generally a pretty conservative dresser and so forth, and just wants to look good, and he wants good quality, and that's what we provide. And we're certainly timely if we're not first.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get into Donald Ross Sport, the new line you debuted last year at the merchandise show. But I have one other question, just in general, when it comes to design. You mentioned fabrics and just how good they are now. I look at, I'll use a dishwasher for an example. They don't make them like they used to last forever, right? They make them to break down after 8 years, so you buy a new one. What is the shelf life of a garment, of a shirt, and do you factor that in the fabrics that you get? Because, yes, I'm going to buy a Donald Ross shirt, and I'm going to get what I pay for, which I'm going to get a garment that lasts.
You're going to get more than you pay for.
Okay.
With our garment, I mean, truthfully,
You just can't kill it.
you unless you burn it or drop a cigar ash on it,
Right.
The shirt is really, it's darn near indestructible.
All right, so does that help with the repeat customer?
Definitely.
I'm going to buy that more because I know
Absolutely.
it lasts, or I don't need to buy another
It's
one.
the best form of advertising is the quality of the garment.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt, okay? We might, if they broke down or they broke down quicker, we might sell a few more shirts, but I think having the best quality and being known for the best quality is not ever really a negative.
Yep.
I don't think anyone says I'm not going to buy one because they last too long.
I was just curious about that. Like,
it's a
do
good
I
question.
need
It's
to buy
a
one?
great
Great
question.
question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would imagine the result has been, hey, I bought a Donald Ross golf shirt, and boy, it's held up so well. I'm going to get a pullover. Right, I'm going to buy a higher price point item from the collection.
Right.
Maybe that's the growth in the outerwear that Carly mentioned.
Yeah, it's been that's been a category that we've seen tremendous growth over the last couple of years. So we've expanded into some layering items and some outerwear as well, and that whole layering look is in as well. So that's helped increase that category for us.
All right, let's talk about Donald Ross Sport. It's still a classic look for the athlete, though, right? Is that what?
Well, you know what? I was thinking, nothing to do with you, but I was thinking about this morning earlier. And I was thinking of another way to differentiate our two brands. Mm-hmm. And because they're both very classic, and they both end up at the end of the day having a lot of very similar characteristics in terms of their appearance. Okay? And we have small things that differentiate both that we think are huge. The consumers say, what the hell, what are you talking about? But one of the things I think about, I think this is good for you and Sam, Carly, is Donald Ross Sportswear. Donald Ross, the heritage portion of the brand, comes with a very strong kind of menswear influence. Okay?
Absolutely.
Alpaca, chalk stripes and pinstripes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Donald Ross Sport, it gets to a very similar place, but it comes with more of an athletic sportswear heritage to it. So nice way to think about things just for us also.
Absolutely.
But so I would say that. And sportswear, what does it end up being? This fabrics have much more stretch, number one. Number two is all the fabrics are branded outside. It'll say Donald Ross, or there'll be a thistle, or there'll be something to indicate it's our brand on the outside. You've got stretch, you've got branding, and then the third is that it's a little bit. It's not a little bit. It's more of an athletic fit. It's for the guy that prefers his clothes to feel his clothes. Yep. He likes them close fitting.
Shorter sleeve, a little more slender body. A guy that's looking for more of a trim, athletic cut, but still wants that classic look.
Carly, how important is that branding piece on the garment that Rob talked about?
We found that people want to show off the brands that they're wearing. They want to be a part of that lifestyle. They want to be a part of that
culture.
That culture, yeah. So it has been important for our sport brand, and it's been, a detail that draws consumers to that brand.
And it's a small detail in some regards sometimes, right?
It's small, but it makes a difference, and people are noticing it. So that's been fun to watch, because we don't brand our classic line, and so
it differentiates the two.
Sure.
Yeah. The two lines as well.
What's been the response?
Great. We actually for summer fall we sold it out completely. Mm-hmm. And the bookings for spring 20 are excellent. So it's getting a great reaction.
And that is it bringing in a new generation of customer to a younger generation of
customer? Definitely, without a doubt. And that was a big part of the reason that we launched it was, it really takes the average age of our consumer down by probably 10 or 15 years. So it's still that country club kind of a guy and that country club kind of affluence. But it takes it down to somebody who's closer to the core wearer could be somebody who's I don't like to use numbers, but mid-30s to up, as opposed to the Donald Ross line, which maybe if you had to put numbers with it, 45 and up or something like that. A lot of it's more of a state of mind than an age, actually.
Sure.
But yes.
And the sell-throughs in the golf shops has been tremendous. We're getting great feedback, and the sales reps are having the opportunity to go back and book multiple deliveries for next spring because they had such a nice sell-through. So that's excellent for us.
I noticed for spring, you've moved into pants. Sounds weird saying that. You've moved into pants.
Wearing them today.
You've had shorts. What precipitated the move to pants, to offering slacks that look to me worn to the office, worn to the golf course?
Mm-hmm. Golf professionals want to wear our product, and they don't wear shorts to work. They can't wear shorts to work, and that's probably been the biggest factor. I think is they want to wear our bottoms with our tops. Mm-hmm. So it's been a natural introduction, and this 5-pocket movement, if you will, has really seen it's acceptable. You see it on TV every day. It's on the senior tour. It's on all the tours, and there's a reason for it. It's comfortable and it works.
No flamingo pants yet, though. I saw the shorts.
Kevin, yes.
We do have the flamingo short, which is
we might be able to
swing
swing a pair for you.
Well, hey.
If you promise to wear them.
I absolutely would wear flamingo pants. Who wouldn't wear flamingo pants?
Pretty fantastic.
I have a pair of ladybug shorts that I wore to a invitational golf tournament this summer, and boy, the reaction was off the charts. Not from the guys.
From the ladybugs.
From the ladybugs. Yes, they're like, that is awesome. And they're chiding other, why wouldn't you wear ladybug shorts? And if you're going to wear flamingo shorts, right, you're doing it for the reaction. Stand out a little bit.
After the show's over, I'd like to talk to you further about that and find out where you got those.
Well, we'll have a discussion. But some people.
I bet your wife's thrilled with them.
She actually thinks they look cool.
Cool.
Yeah. Some people listening might wonder, okay, where can I find Donald Ross Sportswear? It's in golf shops, correct? Are there any major golf retailers, or are we just in private clubs right now? And I don't mean just, but I'm like that.
It's primarily private clubs, but there are some public golf courses, and there's certainly many resorts that we're involved with. But we've had a distribution policy since the company's inception, and we've remained true to that thus far.
Yeah, and,
right.
and I imagine that helps with the customer who you're designing for.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we know our customer. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that helps to know who we are trying to attract with our apparel.
What's next for Donald Ross?
What's next for Donald Ross?
That you can tell me.
That we can tell you.
That you want to tell me.
Well,
you're growing. I could tell. The last time I was here,
we've had a
headquarters,
phenomenal
right?
year. We've had a phenomenal year. The sport line has been a major undertaking. Has been a major investment, and really want to try to get that built out further before we look into any other different distribution channels or anything like that. Want to get the sport business really solidified into the marketplace. We're just going into a year and a half at it, three selling seasons coming up. And as John said, the business is going very well, but I like to do things, I like to roll things out kind of.
Crawl, walk, run, we like to
say.
It's
a policy
sure.
We have, crawl, walk, run, and just want to really get it embedded into the marketplace.
And make sure we're doing it right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds smart. Rob, you and I were talking before we started recording that the golf business is healthy, right? People are always conjecturing, we're losing this golfers, that golfers. People always want to. It's like the stock market; they keep wanting to predict the doom and gloom here for.
Well,
business is good,
the stock
right?
market just doesn't just go up either. We've had a fantastic year. We've had. It looks at the company. This is going into year number 12.
So it's an overnight success.
It's an overnight success. No, the company grew very quickly from our inception. Like I said, the product was truly a hit. But, we're getting into years 9 and 10, 8, 9, 10. Things slowed down to single-digit growth. We introduced a sport line that's had an immediate large impact on the business. And now we've got to really just roll this business out and continue to roll the business out. Yeah, there's a lot of behind-the-scenes things that take place with inventories and computer systems and so forth. I mean, that's a whole other
side of our business
deal that we have to deal with.
Yeah.
But no, I think we're always looking for new ideas and so forth. And I think the sport thing's been a lot of fun, and the branding of the sport thing in particular, I think for Carly and our design team has been a lot of fun because there's so many new opportunities to expose our brand and to get to express ourselves.
Mm-hmm. What's the? I'll start with you, Carly, and work our way around. The final question I have for everybody: what's the most fun about this business? About designing clothes or meeting customers? What's the most fun, Carly?
I love what I do for Donald Ross. I think designing new product is really exciting. It's an exciting part of the business to be involved in. I just really love what I do. And hearing, from John when he comes back from his sales trips, the feedback he gets from the customers, or when our customers reach out to us on social media and tell us, hey, this is my favorite shirt, love this design, like, great job, keep it up. It means a lot to us. So, having the opportunity to come up with compelling designs and hear back from customers that they love it is really rewarding. So,
John,
I'd have to echo the same thing. I'm fortunate to go to a lot of events that we put on and meet the end users. And when they come to the table and they're like, "Oh, Donald Ross, that's my favorite shirt." It's just it's very gratifying to know that you're working for a brand that people love and they want to wear it.
Mm-hmm.
And Rob, how about you?
Well, I think when I started the business, I really felt like I had something. First of all, I thought I had a great idea. Second of all, I thought I had something to prove, and I was able to do that. But truthfully, today, the most enjoyable part of the business for me, to a large extent, is my team. Hiring them, working with them, training them, watching them thrive is phenomenal.
You keep going like this, you're going to need a bigger boat.
Yep. Exactly.
And that's okay.
Yeah. No,
for sure.
It's been a lot of fun.
Well, thank you for the hospitality, having me in here and sharing what makes Donald Ross successful.
Oh, you're welcome. Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Stop
coming,
back
Kevin.
soon.
And the Tee to Green team is proud to wear Donald Ross Sportswear. Great stuff. So if you see me, Brian Koziel, Jeff Meadis with our Tee to Green logo items, they're from Donald Ross. I also have some other items from Donald Ross. It's no secret. I like to buy golf shirts when I go to a tournament or visit a golf course. And if I can, I buy Donald Ross. So if you haven't checked it out, I suggest that you do too. I wear, frankly, more off the course than I do on the course. I will play in their golf shirts, but the outerwear stuff, really classic-looking stuff for Donald Ross. So I thank Rob Stein, he and his staff, for having me over, sitting down, taking time out of their schedule. Actually, very busy time for them as they get ready for the spring and the upcoming merchandise show in January. Yeah, they prepare for it now for the PGA Merchandise Show. Well, that's going to do it for another edition of the Tee to Green podcast. Hope you enjoyed this conversation with Donald Ross Sportswear. Until next time, I'm Kevin Sylvester. Thanks for listening.